Hey YouTube, Kevin Cleary with a knife video. I've got a comparison for you today between a couple of blades that are really cool, really overbuilt, hard use folders, the Zero Tolerance 0200 and the Benchmade 275 Adamas. Okay, both of these blades are really cool, both of them are very capable, and in fact both of them have a similar design philosophy. Okay, these are both designed primarily to be combat blades. But they do serve well in various other hard use tasks. Both of them, I will add, aren't ideal for EDC, mostly because of their size and weight, although I will say one's a little better than the other when we get to the end of the video. Okay, so how do these two compare specifically? Well, let's start off with size and weight, which is actually very similar. The Adamas, let me get it opened up for you, measures overall 8 7/8 inches. The blade on this is 3 3/4 inches. The handle is 5 1/8. The weight on this one, that's the other thing I need to tell you, the weight on this is 7.7 ounces, although I will say it feels rather heavier than that. The 0200, 8 3/4 inches, so literally 1/8 of an inch shorter. 3 5/8 inch blade. Now that's measured from here, the highest place on the handle. Okay, so that's here where the tip of my finger is. You can see that even the cutting edge extends down beyond that. So I think a lot of zero tolerances like marketing and stuff calls this 4 inches, and there is 4 inches of cutting edge here. But if you measure from the highest point on the handle, which most places that have a law pertaining to this, that's where they say you should measure. It's actually 3 5/8. So that's the blade length. Handle length on this is 5 1/4 inches, and the weight is 7.9 ounces. So you can see very, very similar, within 1/8 of an inch of each other overall, within 0.2 ounces of each other in terms of weight. Along those lines, there are a couple differences I want to point out. The 0200 is a little more rounded, while the Adamas is a little more square, and so in pocket they feel a little different. But the Adamas on the other side of that comes with a sheath, so you could put it on your belt or on a backpack or on your gear somewhere if you were a soldier, a police officer or something, and that that may make a difference for you as you compare these two blades. Now for my purposes, I've got to call size and weight pretty much a tie. They're very close in all of those numbers, and there's nothing in the design of either one that makes them stand out to me as superior. All right, let's move on to the blade, and we'll continue using the Adamas first and then bringing the 0200 in after. Here we have 3 3/4 inches of D2 steel. We have a cutting edge that's the same as the length, 3 3/4 inches. Flat ground blade, drop point with a swedge here. It is black coated with, Benchmade has a special proprietary name for their black coating, but it is sort of a baked on, painted on type of coating. We do have a little fuller groove here, which is common of Siebert designs. And you've got a fairly traditional blade shape. You've got a good bit of straight edge here, and then the belly starts up to the tip there. There is a nice touch here. Both of these have this. A nice little cutout for sharpening, so you can get every bit of that blade sharp, which I think is pretty important. D2 steel, which is a great steel, okay? Just in my experience, D2 takes an edge really well. It holds it like crazy. It's just, yeah, it's an all-around really, really good steel. So I'm not going to complain at all about D2, especially when it's coated like this, because D2, although it's not stainless, when you coat it like this, you essentially protect it from corrosion anyway. All right, what about the 0200? Well, the blade on this, and I'm just going to put the Adamas there beside me for now. The blade on this is 154 cm blade steel. It is a drop point as well, and it is flat ground as well, although this is flat ground with a recurve. The flat ground is certainly higher on the 0200 than it is on the Adamas, making the edge geometry considerably better, okay? Because if you compare the way these two are ground, the Adamas would be like this, the 0200, I'm exaggerating, okay? But the 0200 is thinner, making it slice considerably better, okay? 154 cm maybe isn't going to perform in terms of edge retention and toughness as well as D2, but it is going to be corrosion resistant. The DLC coating on this is also going to be superior to the baked on coating on the Benchmade. All right, so how do these blades compare to one another? For their primary purpose, as combat blades, they're going to compare equally well. The 0200 is going to slice better if you're doing any kind of slashing, slicing motion. However, both of them are going to be totally suitable as combat blades. And when you move out of that and start considering, maybe food prep, maybe EDC uses, maybe various bushcraft, what about skinning an animal? In those, once you start considering a broader spectrum, the 0200 really stands out because it's a superior cutting blade shape, okay? Now, on the other hand, there's some of you out there who just hate recurves. I'm not one of them. I actually really like recurves, but if you hate recurves, then obviously the Adamas is going to be superior to you and for your purposes. So that's how these two compare. By the way, the Adamas, it does, like many Benchmades, have not the greatest edge geometry nor the greatest angle on that secondary bevel. So if you buy this, you may want to send it to someone, or if you have a wicked edge yourself, you may want to reprofile this blade to have a better edge or a better angle on that secondary bevel than what it comes with from factory. And that would make a difference too in the comparison between how these two cut. You could get better performance out of this by reprofiling it. Now, so that's the blade, and as I said, as the blades compare to one another, I'm going to give the edge to the 0200 because of the better coating and because of the better edge geometry, making it a superior slicing blade. Now, move on to lockup and deployment, and that's going to be a bit of a different story. Both of these are very strong. Both of them are totally trustworthy and reliable. I have no issues with either one. However, the axis lock is just a phenomenal lock, okay? It's strong, it's smooth, it's fast, and so I've got to say that I prefer the axis lock for my own purposes over a liner lock. And in terms of how this is carried off, if we were talking about there are other liner locks that I would actually prefer to this axis lock, but the way the 200 does it is good but not great, okay? This knife is a flipper, it's smooth, it's not super fast as a flipper, and the liner lock is reliable, but is it going to be as strong and reliable as an axis lock? Probably not. The axis lock is a pretty strong, pretty durable setup. Okay, I know Cold Steel has yet to test the Adamas. They have tested other axis locks and they've done fairly well. But I think the Adamas, because of that extra G10 and the extra material in the liner, would actually do really well. So I may send a message to Demko, Andrew Demko, and have him and suggest the Adamas versus, who knows, whatever Cold Steel he wants to pick. All right, so that's the lockup and deployment, and I think we've got to give the edge to the axis lock. It is a phenomenal lock, okay? It just really is. What about the handle on these two? Okay. We have, again, very, very similar handles in the sense that they're both G10, in the sense that they're both stainless steel liners. Both are milled out to save weight, although they're still really, really heavy. Both are very thick, okay? You have almost 3/4 of an inch. You do have 3/4 of an inch on the Adamas, almost 3/4 of an inch on the 0200. So there's a lot of similarities, but there are also some significant differences, okay? In terms of how it molds to the hand, the 0200 does come out ahead in terms of just comfort, and it comes out ahead in terms of grip. The jimping on the Adamas is there, but it's not great. The jimping on the 0200 just locks you in, as does the very aggressive texturing on the G10. There is texturing on the G10 for the Adamas, but not nearly as much or as grippy as the 0200. So for comfort and for retention, I'm going to give the handle to the 0200. I think the handle on this is superior to the Adamas. There are a couple other comparisons that are worth making. Both of them have a lanyard hole. I think you can get 550 cord through here, but it is smaller. Both of them have good pocket clips. The 0200 is 4-way repositionable. The Adamas is only 2-way, right side or left side tip up carry. And so in terms of the handle, both of them are very strong, both of them are very capable, and both of them are comfortable. It's just that the 0200 is more comfortable. Both of them have retention, that is, they both have, you know, some jimping and some grip, but the 0200 has more grip and it locks in better than the Adamas. Okay, so that's why I'm going to give the handle design and construction to the 0200. Now, overall, these are both really good knives. Okay, they're comparable in quality, they're comparable in durability, they're comparable in usefulness. They're fairly comparable in price, although I know the 0200s are kind of being sold off right now, so they're a little cheaper than they were once. But overall, I don't think you'd be disappointed in either one of these. I do prefer the 0200 because of the reasons I mentioned. You know, I think the blade is done a little better, and I think the handle is just a little more comfortable. Now, on the other hand, I carry the Adamas a lot of times if I'm, you know, doing something where I'm wearing a belt or carrying a pack, because the sheath allows you to attach it very easily to, you know, the strap of your backpack or your belt or somewhere else on your person, while the 0200 has to be in your pocket, and it's a big heavy knife to be in your pocket. Okay, so that's my take on these two blades. Both great. I really like both of them. I actually recommend both of them, but I do give the slight edge to the 0200 for the reasons we've mentioned. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you've got one of these knives or maybe both of these knives, go ahead and weigh in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. We'll talk to you later.